Welcome to One Man's Tracks, the only music review channel that'll jump from Mike Oldfield to Machine Head. This week I'm shifting into a different lane again and talking about another band that got its name from a negative review. Like Daft Punk, I think Garbage is a great band name, but similarly, it's also a band I needed to try out a couple of different times in a couple of different situations before I fully began to appreciate their alternative pop sound. Plus, when jumping into the research for this little review, I found a lot of connecting threads to a ton of the other albums I've reviewed in the past and just some interesting similarities that I figure I get a chance to bring up while talking about this and kind of link together a bunch of these reviews I've done. Garbage is made up of former bandmates of the group Spooner and Firetown, Steve Marker, Duke Erickson, and Butch Vig. They actually started up a production company while working with those bands in the 80s called Smart Studios and would record and produce for local punk and rock groups in Wisconsin. Butch, by the 90s, was working on some rather large projects for some pretty big bands like Smashing Pumpkins and Sonic Youth. He's probably most known for his production credit on Nirvana's Nevermind. The trio was working on a number of remixes and using the new looping and sampling technology available to them. They got inspired and their collective musical backgrounds had them wanting to make more music that was a little bit different than just recording a standard rock album, and so they started putting some pieces of some songs together and seeking out a vocalist to lead their sound. When Scotland's Shirley Manson's Anglefish project got its MTV music video showcase, they decided that her voice was the right one to do it to complete their quartet, and when Anglefish finished their tour opening up for the band live, Shirley joined Garbage in 1994. In order to avoid a bidding war over Vig's production prominence, they sent out their demos for the band without any bio attached to them and would sign with Radioactive Records and Alamo Sounds, and in August of 1995 they released this. Their self-produced eponymous debut album. This is Garbage. This album's patchwork production style might be the main reason it took me so long to understand and fully grasp onto what makes Garbage's sound so distinct. They essentially take a remix sensibility and distill it down into a band context. Using the new tech, they recorded just a ton of tracks, jamming over their riffs and sampling and looping, and then picking apart all of those tracks and then piecing them back together into a cohesive song structure using a dysfunctional democratic process. They managed to create a unique blend of what I can best describe as dark, danceable, alternative pop rock, and even that seems like a bit of an oversimplification. There really are just too many layers here that I feel like maybe the best way to paint that picture for you of their sound is to just get right into the tracks. Do my best to break down those interesting combinations they do just track by track, and start out with the super dominating Super Vixen. Through detached and occasionally understated grunge-isms, Shirley takes control of this alt-rocker and puts herself up on a pedestal to be both worshipped and feared. The only real point of contention I have with this is I'm not a huge fan of the guitar riff hook that they have, but otherwise this is an awesome and super empowered first impression. The follow-up, Queer, is a smooth and sultry trip-hoppy song whose bass and do-do-do-do-do-do's tease it forwards. I think it's about a man who hires a prostitute for his homosexual son, told ambiguously from the perspective of the sex worker. It's a pretty uncomfortable situation, but the way it's delivered is just dripping in seduction. Only Happy When It Rains is this double-edged, tongue-in-cheek stab at the angsty alt-rock of the time. It is also making fun of themselves for only really enjoying sad records, but it does feel like a bit of a direct assault at the song No Rain, but that could also just be me stretching to mention that review. As minimal and as self-deprecating as it is, it's still this catchy, ripping, grunge-dipped alt-rocker that is a lot of fun. Now, As Heaven Is Wide heads in a different thematic direction, with Shirley going from being this godlike figure to being so far from God about 12 minutes later in the album. This one sounds like a Bond theme. It's got a great guitar performance, really good ambiance, but I'm feeling like Manson's voice hits this one flat note kind of the whole way through and drags this thing on a little too long, and it ends up just getting in the way of my absolute favorite garbage track. Not My Idea is exactly my idea of a good time. This one's such a banger, guys. I love the contrast between the poppy verses, and I just can't get enough of the "this is not my idea of a good time" chorus. Just picks me up in the very first beat here. Also, did Third Eye Blind borrow the doot doot doots from the poppy sections of this one? Yeah, probably not, but here I go again. Back to more dark, subverted trip-hop beats with A Stroke of Luck. Overall, I do find the progression unsatisfying, but it does have another notable guitar riff that really complements the chorus, and Miss Manson's performance is convincing here too. Vow is much pop rockier as a track, and it showcases Shirley's ability to command a song, but similar to the last one, as great as the chorus is, it ends without a satisfying climax. The last song I understand it a bit more with its more understated vibe, but this one I really do feel like it's a good song that could do a bit more. The band's highest charting single, Stupid Girl, bops in next on the back of a Clash drumline. It embraces a lot of the features that distinguish Garbage's sound, adapting to a glitch that happened during the recording process, manipulating it into a unique ambiance that makes for a pretty great pre-chorus hook here. An upbeat and to-the-point chorus just tops it all off. Moving on to the sinister attitude of Dog New Tricks, who's got another catchy chorus and has really great momentum built up from the bass line here. Flow-wise, I think this might be the better position to put As Heaven Is Wide, maybe before or after My Lover's Box, which is a slower, more lonesome, but interestingly crafted rock ballad whose chorus does really well to convey a feeling of desperate uncertainty. Lightening up before the end here now with a track whose original working title was Chris Cornell, changed to Fix Me Now. This one's quite a bit different than the rest of the songs on this album. A little mercurial in the sense that the verses are this low-key, almost country rock flavor that is then just hit with this wall of playful, self-aware, nearly Europop vibes. I really like this song, and it bounces around in my head long after I've listened to it. The closer, titled Milk, has them changing things up once again to an eerie, enigma-esque neo-soul song. It was actually pretty effectively remixed by Massive Attack, and their trip-hop sound really meshing well with this song of longing. I'm really glad I took the time to finally dig into the Garbage and get to know a bit about this great group and their increasingly re-listenable music. They've got a number of other great albums that I'm looking forward to trying out a few more times, and I'm just thrilled that I finally kind of understand what's going on here. Garbage released 3 more albums before going on a hiatus period in 2005. Returning in 2012, they've since released 3 more albums, most recently just a couple months ago with No Gods, No Masters in June of 2021. I have only been able to listen to all their other projects beyond this the once, but as far as first impressions go, my favorite album beyond this would be their 2016 release, Strange Little Birds. I found it the most immediate, the most grandiose, the most cinematic. It was really encompassing. It was a bit of a throwback to this sound, but so much more evolved, and I just really look forward to giving that another try soon. I'm curious to know what your favorite Garbage projects are. Let me know your thoughts, feelings about any and all of these tracks I talked about today, or maybe you have a memory of seeing them live. I'd love to hear about it down in the comments. Like the video if you made it this far, subscribe for your weekly dose of secondhand thrift shop album review madness. Check out this Skunk and Etsy review I did right here, and maybe some more 90s albums you might enjoy. Take care, everyone. I'll see you next time. I'm only happy when it rains.